Good morning and welcome to the channel. We are here today in beautiful Elm Creek to start up a new series. I assume that you're familiar with the game, so you've probably played this map once or twice. It's a great map. It's got lots of great fields, lots of great stuff going on, so I really can't complain. We have a lot of space to choose from, but we're not really going to be doing any farming ourselves. I'll explain. So the purpose of this entire new series is we're going to start a farming contracting business. So we're not going to be starting our own farm at all. All we're going to be doing is doing contracts. And the goal is to see how long it takes us to make $10 million just doing contracts. And of course, any business needs a base of operations. We've got this nice field here, or nice plot of land rather here, that is over in the sort of center of the map. This is going to be field 7 or farmland 7. We're going to go ahead and grab this, and this is going to kind of serve as our base of operations for the majority of this playthrough. And of course, we're not going to get anything done if we don't have any means of transportation. So I've gone ahead and grabbed this truck, and the lighting's not great here, but it is blue with black rims. That's going to be our kind of color scheme for anything that we can at least pick the colors of. And with every playthrough of this game that we do here on the channel, I'm going to go through and just show you what my settings page looks like, so you know kind of the challenge that I'm going with as we're sort of going through this process. Now, this stuff is sort of superfluous. I do have the economy difficulty on easy, okay? And just like in the No Man's Land series that we have going on now, I'll say I don't necessarily play this game for realism or simulation to a point. I more play this game for fun. I just happen to enjoy the simulator aspect, and I do try to do a little bit of like role-playing kind of storytelling to try to keep it a little bit more interesting. But that being said, we're going to be on easy difficulty. That's why we've given ourselves a goal of like $10 million instead of $1 million or something like that, because I think 1 million would honestly be kind of easy to hit with the easy difficulty. 10 million will take us a little while at least. Traffic off. I'm just going to leave this off to begin with. We may turn it back on at some point. Seasonal growth, all this stuff, this doesn't so much matter because we are not planting anything ourselves. We're just doing contracts for other people, okay? And snow I'm going to leave on so we can do some plowing come the winter and maybe, you know, kind of role play some contracts for plowing and things like that. Crop destruction off, everything else on, and these are my general settings for everything else down here. Now that we're done with that, we're going to drive on over to home base here and try to get ourselves situated so that we can maybe think about grabbing our very first contract and getting the ball rolling here. And this is our field here. We've just arrived. It's field number 40, okay? And of course I said we're not really going to be doing any planting and all that stuff ourselves. However, that doesn't mean that we own this piece of land we should waste all of this money, right? We're definitely going to harvest all of this. It is ready for harvest, although the yield's pretty low. We are going to harvest this up, and then we'll see if we can't find a harvester that's going to be sort of affordable for us right now, and then maybe we can look for a harvesting contract or two. You'll notice our funds have gone down just a smidge, and that is because I did go ahead and place an order for a couple of things down at the shop. So I know we did just leave there obviously, but we're gonna head back over there and I'll introduce you to these new pieces of equipment. So first things first, we did pick up this trailer here. Okay, this is going to be to hold all of our grain and all that stuff that we're about to harvest, and that we will continue to harvest in the very near future once we start working on some of these contracts. Now, we did also pick up this harvester here. Okay. I might say the name wrong, but it's a Rostsoul Smash or Rostsoul Mash, something of that nature. It's the cheapest one that is offered in the base game, and it comes, well, it doesn't really come with, but we grabbed the header for it as well, obviously. And we're going to start transporting this equipment over and get to harvesting that field. As I'm driving down the road towards the field here, this trailer, it might be a little much for our truck. I don't know that this trailer is going to last very long with us. Either that, or we may have to upgrade the truck sooner than we were expecting to. I kind of knew when I was grabbing it that this trailer was a little bit excessive to go with this truck, but at the moment, this is probably the easiest and best option for us. We may just have to think about upgrading some of our other equipment. And we're in our harvester now. We're going to start transporting this down. While I'm driving, I'm going to tell you about sort of the main rule that I have for us sort of starting out this series. So the main rule that we're going to have to follow, at least for the beginning of the series, and to be honest, hopefully it doesn't last too long, because I think this will also dramatically increase our ability to make money. But for the beginning of the sort of campaign here, we're not going to be allowed to use any workers at all, which means all of these contracts we're going to have to do completely on our own, completely by ourselves, and that's going to be tough. Especially, I mean, to be honest, I use workers a lot, and I'm sure if anybody plays this game, they probably do too, but I use workers a lot, and some things in the game I've only done a couple of times because I'll usually just hire a worker to do them for me. That being said, though, we're not going to be able to use workers until we have at least comfortably $1 million sitting in the bank account. Okay? Which could take us a little while. Okay? Because if you consider, once we add workers into the mix, there's a pretty high likelihood that we can do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 contracts simultaneously and have just loads of workers working for us around the whole entire map. Now, as I mentioned when I took a look here at this this field, right? The yield is pretty low on this field right now. It's at like 38% or so. But this is basically free money for us because we're not planning on using this field for actual farming. In fact, we're going to eventually just paint over this field entirely, and this is going to be our base of operations. You know, we'll put down some buildings, a garage, some storage, so on and so forth. And all of the stuff that we have here right now, like this field and the crops that we're harvesting, will not stay here. And I will tell you what, folks, I don't usually use this harvester because, to be honest, it's quite small. And this field doesn't seem very big in comparison. But when you've got a working width that's this small, this is going to take me some serious time. So while I'm working this field, I do actually have a serious question. I, as mentioned, play this game primarily for enjoyment, because I like to play simulator games and I like driving around the big equipment and, you know, doing these tasks, and for some reason, something about it, it just is relaxing to me, I guess. Now, the way that I prefer to work my fields is in this kind of circular fashion, as I'm doing now. I think personally this is probably the most efficient way, in my head at least, to do it. But for those of you that are more well versed in the game, or farming in real life perhaps, is this the best way to go about it, working in a circular fashion like this? Or is it best to do rows, kind of up and down, or what's the best way to go about this? I think it's also worth noting that sometimes, obviously, it makes more sense to do rows. For example, with corn, I think that I would probably do corn in rows versus doing, like just a grain like this is canola. And, canola, you're not swathing, you're not baling, you're not haying or anything. So this seems to me like the easiest option for what I'm doing. Obviously, there are some things where doing rows is probably the easier option as well. It looks like it's time for our first unload, so we're going to go ahead and turn the pipe out here, wait for it to get all the way out, and jump into the truck and see if we can't go unload this. Now, I do not, to be honest, remember exactly what the capacity of this trailer is, but I'm fairly certain that it's more than what's in the harvester right now, so I think we can get a couple of loads into it. And with the yield so low, honestly, we might even be able to get the whole field into it before we have to go actually empty. So with the 4,900 liters out of the harvester, it looks like we're at about 40%, so we can probably get pretty close to like 12,000 liters in here. We may have to unload once, I would say, before we actually get to have the field completed. So I did just come up with another question as well. I guess you guys are going to be answering lots of questions and helping me out here in the comment section of this video. But I am wondering, and I've tried to look this up on the internet before, maybe I didn't look it up very well, but I've been wondering if there is a way for me to, say, remove this field with some sort of equipment, like manually. I do it myself. What I mean by this is, like I said, we're not using this field for planting anymore after this. After it's harvested, it's never being planted again. It's gonna go away. Okay? Now, the way that I would do this right now would be just to go into the build mode and paint away the field. Just paint it back into grass. And that would be sort of my blank slate that I would start with. But if there's a way for me to essentially like remove the plowed state and then return the field back to grass in a way, or even dirt, right? It doesn't even necessarily have to be grass. If I can just get rid of basically the plowed part of the field somehow with some sort of equipment, I would be interested in doing that rather than just painting over it, because I feel like painting over it kind of ruins a little bit of like the roleplay element. We're definitely getting pretty close to the end here, and we're only at about 73% full on the tank right now. So it looks like there's a pretty good possibility that we may be able to fit all of this grain in the trailer in one trip. Fingers crossed. Alright, so theoretically, as long as the header is wide enough. This is our last little pass here. And we've done it. Excellent. So that actually took quite a bit of time, like in real life. Like it took a decent amount of time, as well as about, I think, close to 4 hours of in-game time. So I'm going to get this loaded up into the trailer, and then we're going to go ahead and drop it off and see what we can make for a little bit of money off of this. Now, technically, the place where we're going to get the most money for this is if we were to bring it to the train. I actually don't mind using the train, but I'm going to avoid it right now because I think that is going to save us a little bit of time if we sell this somewhere else. So we are going to take a little bit of a price cut at about like maybe $100 or so per 1,000 liters, which is not too bad. We're going to bring this over to Johnson's Farmer Market. Honestly, for the most part, this trailer actually seems to handle this load, or the truck rather, seems to handle this load a little bit better than I was expecting it to. It's a little wishy-washy on some of the turns, but I think we can definitely get by with this for a little bit at least. Now we're going to go ahead and sell off this canola and see what we can make for a little bit of income. We love to see the money go up. Not going to be a huge takeaway. Alright, about 16,000. Could be better, could be worse. So now that we have finished that up, I'm taking a look here at the contracts page. And, as we start to get our names out there a little bit, we'll hopefully see some more enticing contracts, okay? But it looks like, if I'm thinking correctly, probably our best bet right now for a contract is going to be any one of these fertilizing ones. And I can go ahead and grab a tractor and a spreader and fill it up with my own fertilizer, all that good stuff. And we can tackle all of these contracts probably by the end of this day, and we'll definitely make more than we spend on leasing the equipment. So I'm gonna probably go ahead and do that. I'm gonna take a look at the shop and see what we can find. So in my head, I was actually thinking about going with solid fertilizer, but I'm taking a look at the used market here, okay? And we've got this used Hardy Mega 1200 liter liquid fertilizer spreader, and this thing is only going to run us about 13,000. So I think we're going to go with this, and then we'll just have to make sure that we grab a tractor that can handle it. Now, there aren't any good used tractors on the market right now for us, unfortunately. I think that what we're actually going to go with is this Proxima HS here for a couple of reasons, okay? It's got plenty of horsepower for what we need it to have right now, okay? And we can put these wider tires on it, which will probably help with the traction a little bit. And we can put this front loader attachment on it, which I think is something that will probably be helpful for us at some point in the future. If we take a contract where we need one, we won't have to lease it at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and buy this for $72,000. It's because I do have some extra options on there. Okay, so this is going to cost us $72,000, which brings our bank account down to $90,000. Okay, and we started with $500,000. So we're not in the best of shape right now, but this will allow us to take on a good couple of contracts right now. So we're in the tractor. I did go ahead and grab a couple extra things. Okay, so I grabbed a weight for it, just so we don't tip over. And then I grabbed some, obviously, liquid fertilizer so that we can go ahead and fill up our tank here. On this pallet, we do have 6,000 liters of liquid fertilizer, so if we need to refill it all, we can do that quite easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come in here and just accept all Oh, I can't accept all of them. I can only accept 3 at a time. But I'm going to go ahead and accept all of these contracts, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So I will just go right down in order. Going to head over to field number 12 first. Alright, so here we are at field number 12. Now this is the farthest away field from home base, so this is theoretically the one that will take the longest, which means that hopefully our other couple of contracts will go quickly. They're actually pretty close together, so we have this big old fertilizer spreader here. We're going to go ahead and tackle this field, and this should literally take us a minute and a half, maybe, of real life time, and then we'll go ahead on to the next one. Alrighty, so we just got the notification that this contract has been completed, which is excellent, and that means that now we can go ahead and move on to our next contract, which is going to be on field either 37 or 43. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the map here. Technically, if we just take the highway the whole way there, the closest one's 37. So we're going to take this little journey, and we'll catch up with you when we get there. And here we are, folks, at field number 37. So we're going to go ahead, unfold the sprayer, take care of this field real quick, and then we'll be on to the next one. And when I said that these fertilizing contracts would probably be the easiest option for us to start with, this is what I meant, okay? So we are just about done our second pass on this field here, and we're, you know, probably 65% of the way done, okay? We've got one more good pass on this field, and then this contract will also be complete. And that'll do it for this contract. We just received that completed message and folded up the tractor. Now, we're going to head over to field number 43 to finish up our last contract. And it's pretty close. It's actually that bright green field that's right ahead of us. It looks like it might be grass. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. And we are just about done with field 43 over here, and we are barely going to make it on our liquid fertilizer. We've got 4%, 3%, and there we go. Let's fold that up. Actually ended up being a lot closer to home than I realized it was. We're only like 3 or 4 fields away. That being said, we now have these... Whoa. Why am I way at the bottom of the list? We now have these 3 contracts completed, which is excellent. Now we have a bunch more fertilizing contracts that we can go ahead and take, which is also super cool. I'm actually going to go ahead and accept this field 68 and 69, which are going to be right next to each other, and that's going to get us a pretty penny for sure. So I do have to drive all the way back over to the shop in order to grab some more fertilizer, but once we grab that fertilizer, we can head on back over to 68 and 69 and take care of those. I actually opted to drive the tractor over to the fields first, and then come and put the fertilizer in the back of the truck here, because 68 and 69 are actually huge. They're 2 pretty large fields, so I'm thinking that it's possible we might need to refill once sort of in the middle of the process. So in the case that we do have to refill at some point, okay, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to drive the tractor all the way back to the shop to do so. So we went and had the guys at the shop load the pallet up into the bed of the truck for us so that we could take the truck all the way over to field 68 and 69 and have the fertilizer on hand rather than having to drive. In hindsight, it's not actually really as far as it seems, but it is farther than I want to drive in a tractor that goes 25 miles an hour, especially if I have to do it more than once. So I think this was a good decision. we are all filled up, and we're going to go ahead and take our first little session at this. So check this out. I'm not using courseplay right now. Kind of. I'm not using courseplay to do this job for me. Okay, I am driving. I'll show you. I'll wiggle around a little bit here. So I am doing this job myself. But in order to make the process a little bit easier, I used courseplay to generate a course for me so that I can kind of keep track of where I've been, because fertilizing is kind of a tough job in that you literally cannot see which parts of the field you have already affected. So I could run this entire field twice and not know that I've done it. So this is basically just meant to give me like some direction, meaning if I do it this way, I'll know what parts of the field I've been to and what parts of the field I haven't been to. Make sense? I'm not gonna lie, at the rate that we are working through this fertilizer right now, I think it's entirely possible that these fields are so big, we may not even have enough fertilizer left in those pallets. We might have to make another trip back over there with the truck and buy another pallet. At the size of this field, it looks like right now, we've used about 25% of a tank per row that we've done. Okay, we just started the third row at just about 50%. So we're definitely going to have to refill before we even finish field 68. Never mind 69. We just barely made it to the end of the fourth row before we totally ran out. So I'm hoping that I can fill it while it's unfolded. That would be lovely. I'm just going to drive the truck up nice and close. Hop back in here and refill. Excellent. We're just about 60% of the way done here, and it is just past 6:30 p.m. right now. Now, normally this is a good amount past quitting time, right? You know what though, as an independent contractor, sometimes you do what you gotta do to earn that paycheck. To 80% here on field number 68. We're getting close. We are at about 18% capacity right now on the sprayer. I don't think we'll make it to the very end of this field without another refill, so I'm gonna refill again once we get to the end here, and then we'll finish up field 68, and I think we'll sleep the night away so that we can go ahead and take care of field number 69 tomorrow. And I thought we'd at least make it to the end of this row, but this is a nail biter. We may not even make it to the end of this row. We're very, very close. We just ran out right at the end of this row here, so I'm going to back up just a little bit, and we'll fill up, and then we'll finish this one off. And we're pushing it, folks. It's getting late now. We officially have the lights turned on the tractor, but we're so close to finishing up this contract. We might as well get it done. And, you know, field 68 will just have to wait until, or 69 rather, we'll just have to wait until tomorrow. And surprise, we actually just got the notification that contract on field number 68 is complete. So we're going to go ahead and fold this up. And we're going to park it right over here at the entrance to field number 69, and we will come right back here tomorrow and take care of this first thing in the morning. But we are going to head back in the truck over to the to sort of base camp area and go ahead and sleep this night away. I'll tell you what, folks, it's a good thing that we brought our overnight bag along with us. We're actually going to pull up in the truck and try to get a night's sleep inside the truck. And in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves ready for bed. We will see you in the morning. Alrighty, folks, it is bright and early in the morning, 8 o'clock. Woke up to a nice little phone alarm inside the truck there. Neck hurts a little bit, but you know, we made it through the night. So we're going to go ahead now and just collect up this contract that we just finished here for a lovely little 15,000, which is going to put us just under 100,000, which is not a terrible place to be considering all the equipment that we've bought and all the stuff that we've done. So I certainly can't complain about that. We're feeling pretty good about it. Now the one last thing that we need to take care of is we do have this nasty little $200,000 loan. We'd like to pay that off as soon as we possibly can, okay? So every month in the game, we're going to make a loan payment. We don't really have a choice as to how much we can pay. We can just pay $5,000. So every month, we're going to pay off $5,000 of that loan, and it's going to take us a little while to get through it. Maybe if we start raking in some dough, you know, we can tackle it a little quicker, but I think for the time being, $5,000 a month is a pretty hefty loan payment anyway. But that being said, folks, this episode has turned out to be pretty long, okay? So we're going to call it there for today. I'd say we got a pretty good amount done. We did 4 or 5 contracts or so, and we harvested this field that is on our plot of land. I'd like to get rid of this field and, you know, start using this as a place to store some equipment and whatnot, but that is a project for a later date. Right now, our main focus, honestly, is just bringing in some dough. So we'll go ahead and tackle some more contracts this month and see if we can't get that bank account up a little bit. Of course, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know down in the comments if you liked this video, this sort of style, and of course, answer my questions that I asked in the middle of the episode, because you'll really be helping me out, okay? Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.